pop up. Yep, we're live on Facebook. Okay. The line is moving across. I'm not sure. I'm gonna wait till it goes all the way. Okay, cool. We are live. Yay! Welcome, Rodrigo Teixeira de Abreu. How are you?
Oh, well, thank you.
This is not your first time here.
I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but yes, you're right.
So welcome once again. We have literally documented your journey. Every year we do at least one live with you to celebrate your success. And although we've been trying for the past few weeks, right after World Championships in Utah, we finally have a moment before the holidays. So I just want to say thank you for making the time for me and for Full Circle Coaching and all the athletes that are watching you. And let's go back to the beginning. Why don't you introduce yourself, because there are some new people in our scene, but introduce yourself, say what you do, your family, and how busy you are.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me, Erin. As you said, my name is Rodrigo. I'm now, unfortunately, 44 since last week. I'm married. I have 3 kids. I started my triathlon journey some 4 years ago. Really it really coincided with when you and I started working together. I tried on my own for 2 months, and after 2 injuries, I gave up and decided that it was better to work as a team with you.
Yes, that was awesome. And I'm so grateful we met, I think, at Miami Man, right? That's typically how it works. Miami Man is a great race for me. You did the race there on your own, and then you realized you wanted to go to the next level. Would you say that's true?
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so from that journey, from the last 4 years, you have had some pretty amazing improvements and lots of podiums, right? So this culminated, if you guys want to go back and watch all of our previous lives, they're all on my YouTube channel, and you can search Rodrigo's name. But today we're going to talk mostly about World Championships in Utah, because that just happened. And I'd like to talk about how we actually only trained for that race for 12 weeks, right? And I want to speak to, Rodrigo's balance in the sport. And we're going to get to that after we talk about Utah. But the reason why he's able to get his performance so dialed in a shorter period of time is because he does take breaks from the sport. So we're going to get to that. But let's talk about Utah. So you qualified for Utah. Where did you qualify?
Where I qualified in Mexico a year before that. And that actually I'm sure we'll talk about it later. Somehow I didn't play in my favor for World Championship, because the environment in the racing environment in Cozumel is very much like here, humid, hot, flat, and it's where really we trained as Miami and Floridian athletes, and therefore Utah in November is a very, very different set.
Yeah, so you qualified in Cozumel, but you did have a really good race there, despite because it was similar conditions. But I was there this year, you were there the year before, and I can tell you I was surprised at how hot it was. I know you did Cartagena the year before too, so you know about hot races. But let's talk about Cozumel for a second too, because you did have a really, really good time. Do you remember your time at that race?
Yeah, it was 4:35.
Yeah, so it was a very fast race despite the conditions, but we do have the advantage of training in the heat here, right? So
Correct.
When you crossed the finish line, and did you know that you qualified for Worlds?
No, I didn't actually, and I didn't attend that race to qualify for World. And I think that if you look at the journey we've had together, we've never set ourselves unrealistic objectives. It doesn't mean that our objectives were too easy, but they were hard enough that it took a lot of work to get there, but realistic enough as well to know that we could get there.
Yes.
And I think the objective for Cozumel was more a time one. We wanted to go below 4:45. We knew it would be hard, especially with the run. And that's where I had to refocus my energy. So when I crossed the finishing line, to answer your question, I was totally drenched. I had no energy left. And I wasn't sure I had done a great race, because I had to not to stop, but to walk at some watering points. I never do stop or walk in between, but I allow myself, when it's really hard, 3-4 seconds to walk, to rest, to reset, to get back into my pace. But I felt that I had to do it a bit too often for my liking. But when I actually crossed the finishing line, the time was very decent. So I was happy with that because my bike had actually been very, very strong.
Yeah, and there is something to be said for taking those really short walk breaks. I mean, I don't know if you, I know you probably watched the World Championships this year, but that, you know, the female winner, she never passed an aid station without walking and getting the quality nutrition she needs. So honestly, you made the exact right call. And I feel like if you didn't do that, you may have overheated and had to walk, you know, the last few miles, right? So that was super duper important that you were able to do that. And also I feel like the training in the heat, you know, in Miami also helped you a lot to mentally be able to handle it. Yeah. Okay. So you qualified there, and then we had a really decent spring. Like, I know you trained strong through the spring, and then you did take a little bit of time off in the summer. And that's, we're going to get to that balance piece, but we came in and we had a goal of 16 weeks out to start training. And then I got an email from you, or there was like, okay, we're not yet. Let's wait. And I was like, okay, no problem. And I knew that it was going to be okay, because like I said, when you're on, you are on, and you're so focused. And the fact that you don't really, you take time away from the sport, meaning swim, bike, run, but you do not take time away from your fitness, right? And you're always improving that in some way, even if it's in a different sport, right? So I know that last summer you were in France a lot and you got to climb a lot. So that was really great for Utah, right? So speak to us how you didn't really train during the summer specifically for Utah. You know, we didn't get dialed in for literally 12 weeks before, but what were you doing outside of the sport?
So it's exactly as you said. Obviously, you know, I knew I had over a year to wait before the World Championship. I also was realistic with my own capacities. I cannot train for a year at full on, hoping that that will make me ready a year later on. Mentally, I don't have the strength to do that for a year. Physically, I don't have it either, because I'm not 20 anymore. So, you know, I knew that it would be somewhere between 3 to 4 months before that I could dedicate to the max and peak closer to the race. So in the summer, obviously I wanted to keep my physical fitness, but also not erode my mental fitness. Right. I wanted to make sure that I didn't get bored by just doing the same thing, because when it would be time to get back to a very structured training, I had to be fresh in my mind. So I dedicated a lot of time, cycling with friends in the mountain, no time, no even, so at times on purpose, I kept the Garmin on the side, right, just to enjoy, to look around. And that was great, because I think I killed two birds with one stone. I got myself reused to the climbing, or back to the climbing, to the temperature, as well as enjoying, having
fun. You were having fun.
Exactly. I did a lot of surfing with my son, which is, you still get the arms moving for quite a bit, and a lot of things that help. And
we still did have a strength program going, right?
Yes, correct. I was about to say that the only common thing is that I would make sure that I would train or do something an hour a day at least.
Yeah, and so I feel like that strength foundation has helped you so many times just throughout the year when you're not dialed in. And I'm happy that you're not so focused all year long, because like you said, you would just get burnt out. I mean, there's no way you can stay focused for a year, exactly like you said. Okay, so it's 12 weeks out, you give me the go ahead and we dial in. And usually I love the comment the first week or so from you, and you're like, wow, this is kind of heavy, Erin. And I'm like, don't worry, trust the process. I believe in you. Communicate with me, right? If there's anything that's too much, if you feel any niggles in the body. But I felt like it was periodized appropriately. And I know, I've been with you for 4 years. I kind of know what you're capable of, right? And I feel like we've done this recipe several times, out now over the last 4 years, and it's always worked. So we dug in the 12 weeks, and I think we even had a little setback in that 12 weeks. Wasn't there something that came up? Your shoulder.
Yeah, I had a minor issue with my shoulder.
Yeah. And what did we do? We went right to PT. There was no waiting. There was no, oh, I'm just going to wait and see what happens. You had 2 PT sessions and you were back at it and everything was dialed in. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So having a team to help support you, right? And also massage, right? You had the supportive massage. It's not a one-man show, right? To get to the world championships in any way. And having the resources of an amazing athletics rehab is our partner in Miami, which I'm so thankful for them because they've helped me and so many of my athletes, especially last minute, getting ready for big races. There is a possibility of overreaching. That's just the nature of the game. But when you listen to your body and you pay attention right away and respond appropriately, it doesn't have to be a setback. So we got back to work after athletics, and then you went to race day. Let's talk about race day because it is a pretty exciting day. How cold was it?
Much colder than what I was hoping for. And I don't know exactly what the number is in Fahrenheit, but in Celsius it was like 3, which is basically freezing temperatures.
Yes, I think it was in the high 30s, low 40s. In the beginning of the race. And I know it did warm up throughout the day. I mean, we were watching live, so we got to watch live with the pros. So that was pretty exciting to see exactly what the course looked like. But as a Miamian, I mean, that is a challenge, right? Were you nervous at all about the temperatures?
No, and the challenge there was that we had to be, because of logistics. I was the first wave after the pros. So literally they dove and I was right behind. So I was there at 4:30 a.m. and I was set at 4:45 and my start was at 7:35. So it was 2 hours of, and of course we knew about it, but doesn't matter. You're outside, it's 3 degrees in your suit, whatever extra you have, but your body burns energy and the cold starts to get in after a while. Of course, we all want a perfect pre-race warm-up program, but sometimes the environment doesn't allow you for that. But here in that instance, 45 minutes before, we were all cramped in the pre-clearing line, and it was very hard to do a proper one. So when I got into the start for the swim, obviously you have all that adrenaline pumping through your body because we're right after the pros. You have the lights, the camera, the drones, the helicopters, and you don't know it, but your body is just like super excited, excited, and I was forcing myself to pace the start of my swim. The swim is where I'm the strongest. I know that naturally I'm a good swimmer, that I train a lot to be a fast swimmer. So I knew that would be the easy part. I had swum there 2 days before. I get in the water, I start swimming, and I can see that I'm overtaking a bit too many people for someone that's pacing himself. But I try to do my own checks, my breathing, and it's going all right until I get to the second buoy. So that's around, I think, 400 meters in the race. And all of a sudden, I feel that when I try to inhale, the air is so cold that it's blocking a bit my throat, which means that I don't inhale enough air. So when I go to exhale, there's not enough to exhale as well. It starts to mess up with my stroke pattern. And obviously I start to stress a bit. The water is very cold. I'm not used to it. There's a lot of people. It's still dark. I try to calm myself mentally, but I can't. Like each time I get out, my throat gets tighter and tighter to the point where I start to feel a bit lightheaded. So I decide to take a few breaststrokes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when I do that, someone behind me punched me right in the neck here, which makes me feel very, very lightheaded. And all of a sudden, I lose my confidence. I lose my bearings and decide that now it's a bit of a safety concern.
Yes.
So I raised my hand to ask for help, which I had never done. I mean, I swam in terrible condition. You remember Miami, South Miami 3-4 years ago, where the waves were like 6 foot high, and that never bothered me at all. But here, like, it was a safety matter. I could see that there were so many people that nobody could see me actually. So I had to cross the entire swim path to get to a paddleboard. I got to the paddleboard. I knew based on the rules that I could hold on it. I couldn't get on it, but I could hold on it.
Yes.
And I started to, think to myself, okay, you've done all that work. There's no way you're gonna give up. Just take your time, breathe a bit. You're gonna get back into it. And there, bless her, I'm sure she meant all the best. But the lady that was on the paddle started to tell me, you've come so far. You can abandon now. It's all fine. There's nothing wrong. And that actually helped me a huge deal because I said, okay, shut up, lady. I need to focus now. I cannot listen to her. I need to regroup and think for myself.
Yes.
And after 30 seconds, I can't tell you really because time was really hard to judge. Right. But after a bit, my breathing was coming back. And then I was somehow upset. I said to myself, okay, if you go back in there, you kill it. Otherwise, don't bother. You go, you kill it.
Yeah.
I got back into the swimming channel. I gave myself 2 other buoy just to make sure that my breathing was back. As soon as I felt that it was there, I went for it. I just pushed. And I was hoping that I would be, within 5 minutes of my time, maybe 5 minutes extra, and I would be happy with it. I got out of the water. I was 30 seconds slower than what I had planned for.
No, so, faster. You said faster.
Yeah, faster. I was faster. 30 seconds faster. So I had to really push for it.
I want to speak to that. So before the race, we always do a tri-calc 3. So we have an exact race prediction. Okay. Every race I ever do with any of my athletes, we have that prediction. So this is what Rodrigo is referring to. We have a goal time for him to be able to swim, and it's based on reality. It's not pie in the sky. It's not, I hope to hit this. We know that he can hit this number. And I do want to speak to the whole situation just because I want to commend you for not feeling shame about asking for help, because this is a life or death situation. You can die in those situations, and people have, like, there are men and women who have died in the swim in situations just like that because they
Miami man, there was one actually 3 years ago.
Exactly. And so exactly. So there's no shame in asking for help and taking care of yourself at the cost of the race. But guess what? You did the exact right thing. You asked for help. Unfortunately, that lady was not, really aware of who she was talking to. But I do actually appreciate her a little bit because I think it made you realize, you're not talking to me. I'm not quitting. Like, there's no way I'm quitting. And then you went on to just do what you knew how to do. And I want to speak to the fact that because you've done so many races, you have the race skill you need. You know how much I love my athletes to race, sprints, Olympics, whatever the distance is. Even if they're only doing Ironmans, you're missing out on race skill. You can't do an Ironman every weekend, right? So you have so much race skill from our 4 years together that you were able to call on that and realize that you could recover and not completely throw in the towel. So I just wanted to say I'm so proud of you for doing that. And obviously you dug deep and you came out. So your confidence was back. Let's talk about the rest of the race.
And maybe just one thing, because that was a common throughout the 3 parts of the race.
Yeah.
When you have to dug deep, something that helped me a great deal is how hard I had to put during my trainings. And, be it on the bike, on the swim when I was struggling, or on the run, I was always remembering when I was struggling, when it was hard, when you have these negative emotions, which everybody has in such a long race, I was always remembering how hard it was for some trainings. I was remembering the 4 years, and that was kept me going. I was like, there is no way that I'm giving up on myself after everything I had to put for 4 years. And I think if it had been easier, maybe I would have given up. If for whatever reason I could qualify after my first race, and I was like, you know what? so be it. But here, the investment is such, and the sacrifice is such during those 4 years, that is a monumental strength on race day. Huge one.
Yeah, and I want to speak to that also because we didn't start at that intensity. Like I never gave you anything that I didn't know you were capable of, right? And how do we do that? We test. We do a field test, those metabolic tests every 6 to 8 weeks. And that's how I know what you're physiologically capable of, right? So it's not pie in the sky. I'm not making stuff up. All the workouts that I give you are totally possible for you, and they are hard on purpose. And my goal for you is to negative split them on purpose for race day so that you have the confidence. So I appreciate you speaking to that. So that's really awesome. I love that. Okay, so because the bike is no joke at that race. When I saw like the pro athletes that we were watching, I was like, wow, that course is hard, but Rodrigo, the fact that you were in the mountains over the summer, I think that definitely helped you and all the strength training. So let's talk about the bike.
Yeah, that helped a huge deal. Unfortunately, I couldn't train in a freezer. I think that would have helped a great deal. But jokes aside, that was really my enemy during the entire race. It was that cold and the sensation that I never had. Obviously, unlike other Norwegian and Nordic athletes, I had to change. Like there was no way I could get on my bike like all wet.
Yeah,
so I lost quite a bit of time changing. And when you're racing for that 30 seconds at the end of the race, changing completely takes a lot of time.
Your hands are frozen, everything's frozen, right?
Yeah, and you don't have any sensation to your fingers, to your feet, everything is numb. So I had to change completely, put arm warmers, gloves, extra layers. And then the ride started. The first part was quite flat, and there I was really focusing on, because I didn't have much sensation on my numbers. I was watching my watts, checking my heart rate, and going along with that. At the midpoint, I knew the hard part was starting, but I had done that part during the week before. I was familiar with what was ahead for me. And I pushed as much as I could. I knew that was not my strength compared to other athletes, but I just pushed. I was racing against myself. And then came the downhill. It's a long 7 miles downhill. I knew I trained for that, so I pushed on that one. Went very, very fast downhill. I remember on my Strava, on my Garmin, I could see that I was for 7 minutes above 72k an hour, so that's like close to 50 miles an hour. So I did the part that I could do well. I finished the bike 4 minutes faster than what I wanted.
Yeah, and I want to speak to that because we did have a talk that you need to practice biking, running downhill fast. That was our focus through the summer, right? Because I know you have the strength to climb, but where you're going to beat everybody or beat your own self or have the best time you can is on the downhill, right? So I'm so happy that you were able to put that into action. And then I believe you did the same thing on the run too. So you came in. Yeah, tell us about when you transitioned. Were you warmer? Like what was the weather like at that point?
And maybe to your point, because that's where I see great value in working with you. These things you can't guess unless you've done that race before. You can't guess. And when we started that 3 months block, you told me, you said, Rod, you're going to have to focus on two things, as you said, is your downhill ride and your downhill run. And it might sound stupid, but it takes some technique, especially on the run, to run fast downhill without injuring yourself. And if I had not known that, I couldn't have made it. But that on the run, I had my best ever. We'll come to it, but I had my best ever semi marathon time.
13.1.
At that race, and it was hilly. But it's because I had learned how to really run fast downhill. But back to the transition again. I didn't crack a sweat on the bike, which was something that had never happened in my life. And I'm sorry if I go into a bit of biology there, but I was drinking as much as I normally do, but nothing was coming out of my skin. So it had to come out somewhere else. So I was very happy. I made 4 minutes back on the bike. But the second I got down the bike, I realized two things. I couldn't feel my feet. They were completely numb, which is very strange when you have to walk without feeling them. And as well, to put your shoes makes it very hard. But the second I got down the bike, I realized I had to take a comfort break, which frankly, when you're transitioning, that's the last thing you want to do. And there's rules there, right? You need to go to real toilets and so on.
You can't just pee anywhere. This is true.
No. I lost another 45 seconds to a minute doing that, which, you know, when you're trying to make up time, it's just annoying. But got into the run, started to get my sensation back. A quick trick that helped me save a few seconds for all the athletes is, instead of having my cap, my number, my bib on one hand, I had everything in a Ziploc bag. So I just had to grab that, started my run, and during the first mile, I took my time to put my gel somewhere, my cap elsewhere, and actually, you know, I overtook like 5-6 people by doing that, and every little counts when you're racing at that level.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. So how long was it before you actually got to feel your feet?
Maybe after 2 miles, I was like properly warmed up. I started to sweat. I was so happy that I could sweat a bit. And then I felt that, and for the ones that have run half Ironman or full Ironman, they will know exactly what I'm talking about. You reach that moment where you know for a fact if you've
cooked yourself.
You've either pushed yourself too hard and it's going to be a hell of a ride until the end, or if you reach that point where you push just enough so that now you can excel and ultra perform. Yeah. And I reached that 2 miles and I was like,
I got
yes, I got that. I have my legs. They were numb a bit from the bike, because you can't tell for the first mile, you still have like a bit of like discomfort because you were sitting for 2.5 hours. So it takes a bit of time. After the 2 miles, I knew I had it. So then it was just pushing. Enjoying would be an overstatement, but I truly felt that, you know, it was that state of perfection where it's hard, but your stride is great. You can see that you're getting faster and faster and faster. And of course, the faster you go, the more people you overtake. Of course, when you cross the finishing line at the World Championship, is just like a once in a lifetime experience, because you have people that are basically cheering you up 2 miles before the arrival, the crossing the finishing line. The setup is huge. It's just incredible. I remember it all my life, and I had an objective to finish in below 5 hours, and I crossed, I think, in 4:58 something. So that was cutting it to the minute. But I was very happy that the run was below 1 hour 30, knowing how hilly it was.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, even the pros were saying that the hills on the run were short and choppy. So you really couldn't get your rhythm, right? You really couldn't get into a flow unless, of course, you had trained it, right? So I was watching the two pro guys, Christian and Ben, you know, going back and forth, and, you know, just seeing when Ben would try to pass him uphill, and that was his whole strategy, you know what I mean? And, you know, they just went back and forth. It was so exciting. And I was like, oh, Rodrigo is so ready for this course. Like, I knew you were going to have a great day. You know, it wasn't perfect, as most races are not. But like I said, when you have the training as hard as you have it, you have a setback, but you just can overcome it. You can collect yourself. You can remember how hard you worked, like you said, in the training, and you can get back to work no matter what happens. I did want to say, well, first of all, congratulations. And I couldn't be more proud of you. And I know you're going to remember that forever. I mean, you were on the big field, right? That's like the big day. And honestly, you know, the fact that, you know, the World Championships for the long course has been there, you know, in Kona, I think Utah is a little bit harder, because I mean, Kona is amazing, and don't get me wrong, the heat and everything, and I love that race. I don't know if you're ever going to do the full Ironman. I hope there's a way for you to do Kona as a full if you ever decide to, but I honestly think Utah is harder. I just think it's a harder venue in so many different ways. So I'm so proud of you and all that you've accomplished over the past 4 years. And
Thank you.
you know, I want to say, like, first of all, I want to ask about your nutrition, because I know that someone's going to ask, well, I wonder what he ate, right? So do you mind sharing with us your nutrition strategy?
Yeah, obviously, if you don't have a healthy nutrition, there's no way, at least for me, there's no way you can cut it. Healthy nutrition doesn't mean that you're a monk for 4 years. As you said, there's, at least for me, I need my cheat days from time to time. I need my cheat weeks from time to time. But
Wait, you're French after all, right?
there you go, right? I mean, I can lose my passport if I don't have my glass of red wine from time to time. It's serious business there. But no, in all seriousness, and I'm very fortunate that my wife is a nutritionist as well. But something that I always stick to is that what you do once doesn't make a difference. And that can be a killer, or it can be a huge bonus. If you have a healthy nutrition all the way through, frankly, if one night you have a big burger or whatever you want to have, whatever it is, right? Candies, whatever, ain't going to change anything. But as long as your base is a healthy one. You helped me at the beginning to switch completely from a sugar-based diet to a fat-based diet. And that's something that beyond training has become a lifestyle habit. I feel much better by doing that. I have lost a lot of weight that I've not gained since then, irrespective of my training, because what I realized as well is that my weight is now pretty constant now, because when I train, I get more muscle and I lose a bit the fat that I have accumulated. So training or not training, obviously, training for a race or not training for a race doesn't change much my weight, but that lifestyle that
Yeah,
I've acquired.
I want to. So basically what we did was you became metabolically efficient. So you shouldn't have giant fluctuations. I know there are some athletes, like, they go into the off season and they gain 20 to 40 pounds and then they come back, and it's just so much harder. And when you become metabolically efficient, it doesn't matter if you're training hard or not, right? You might gain 2 to 3, 5 pounds when you're in the so-called off season, but it's not going to be these huge fluctuations because you've already taught your body how to burn fat. And we're not talking French fries, you guys. We're talking healthy, good fats from coconut oil, olive oil, nuts and seeds, avocados, that kind of fats, right, Rodrigo?
Yes, correct, exactly.
I want to be clear. So yeah, so you kind of have changed your whole metabolism. And I remember, actually, I have a really interesting picture. So Ali, she does my social media, and she found this picture of you when you first started with me. And I was like, that's not Rodrigo. And she's like, yes, it is. And I'm like, oh my God, you do not look like the same person. Like, I'm going to send you that before and after.
Yeah, I'm 4 years older. That's all it
No, you look much better. Like, you're definitely more chiseled. You don't, you just had some, let's say baby fat, let's say when you first started with me. So big transformation for me. And basically what we do together is my 4-month or 16-week triathlon transformation. I just keep repeating that with you, and every single time you come back, right? So the system works. It works. And let's be clear, we do not see each other, right? You're not a local triathlete. Even though you live in Miami, you have a full life and you don't train with a group, you train alone with friends, right? So, but you have everything you need dialed in to the system. Is that true?
It is, but I won't take the opportunity to give credit to the group training though, because when I started and I needed to build my confidence, where you go to these races and you see all these athletes, and and you're like, am I an athlete? What's an athlete? You're the group and the mindset and the tribe feeling that you've created and that all the for circle athletes create help a huge deal.
Yes.
I don't think I would have crossed that bridge without that. I needed these group training, Yeah, it's very important. And frankly, that's one thing I regret a bit is that I don't manage to do it more because there's also a fun part to it. You know, the Saturday or Sunday long rides. I miss these.
But we see you. We're like ships in the night. We're the slow group and you're the fast group, you and the Frenchies, right? So I see you every once in a while, but he's also talking to, I have my community online, the tribe of Full Circle athletes. We are connected. Even though you're not there with us in the groups, we always root you on. There's always support there.
Yeah.
And you feel that, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
When I wake up in the morning and I have 125 WhatsApp on my phone, I know it's not work. I know it's in circle and it's something going on somewhere.
It's Full Circle athletes.
There you go. But I like that. I really enjoy that.
Especially on race day. On race day, that WhatsApp chat gets crazy. We support each other wherever we are in the world.
And it makes a world of a difference. Honestly, especially when you go to the races, you're on your own. No matter how many races you did, if it's a big race like the World Championship were for me, that warmth coming through your phone makes a big difference. You feel you're not alone.
Yes, exactly. And I'm always sending energy. I'm like, Rodrigo's on the run. Everybody send him energy. He's got to push, 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 right? And I know you feel it. All my athletes always say, I could feel you guys. I could feel you guys. So I'm so proud. And I just wanted to also, before we like finish up completely, is talk about the balance. Like, how have you stayed in this sport and gotten better and better and better over the last 4 years? What do you think is the secret? Because I've been doing this for 25 years, right? And I'm still in love with the sport, right? I don't want to stop, right? It's my lifestyle. So can you speak to that? How do you keep your balance? Like with your kid, you're married, you have kids, you have a very busy job. So it's not like you're, phoning it in, right? You've achieved these amazing results because you have the balance piece, right?
Yeah, well, you need a bit of structure, and I think that's where you play the biggest part. You give me the structure, and I know that because I have that structure and we've worked together for long enough that now we're more dancing tango together than having a very formal relationship. I know the interaction works perfectly. So the structure piece is taken care of. The second block is work, training, life balance. So that's something where I need to be mindful of, but at the same time, it just forces you to be a bit more organized. You just say that has become a lifestyle. There's 45 minutes to an hour a day that it's like breakfast, it's like lunch, it's like brushing my teeth, it's like showering. That's part of it. It's not a question. I need it. If I don't do it, I don't feel good. And above and beyond that is, never doing it in a way where you become almost tired of it. Yeah. I've never been tired of training. I've never been ashamed to say, you know what, I want to take 2 weeks break now and do other things. But it's not 2 week break to go crazy, right? Just do something else. Not look at my bike for 2 weeks, not thinking about charging my Garmin for 2 weeks, not checking if my watch is, you know what I mean? Like, just put it somewhere else and then get back into it. And that formula and that balance has, at least for me, worked tremendously well. I know that both at work and with my family and my friends, if I didn't have that, I would be a very different person. Or actually, let me reverse that. People have seen a change in my behavior, be it at work or in my personal environment, since I started training. Like all my energy, all my excess energy goes in my training rather than in my interaction with people.
Yeah, so you really have transformed, essentially, and made triathlon a part of your life, and it's not a negative part. It actually adds to your life in other ways. You're more productive. I see you when you're dialed in and you're like, okay, Aaron, you got to give me less stuff this week, whatever the case is, you're dialed in because you have extra work to do. But like you said, it's just like brushing your teeth for you. Like, it's not an option. You've made it so that this makes me feel better and I'm not willing to not include it in my life anymore. Right.
So. Exactly. And I always say that when people ask me, especially at work, say, "Oh, how do you do?" I see you coming back from cycling at 6:45 when we're getting up to go to work, and I tell them the day I come back from a training, when I finish a training and I don't feel good, I'll stop. But that has never happened.
Right.
Each time I finish a training, I always feel that rejuvenate aspect, that freshness, that well-being aspect that then helps me hugely during the day. If I don't do anything for 3 or 4 days, I feel like an old car where the engine hasn't run for 4 days.
Yep.
I hate that. I actually hate that feeling now.
Yeah, I'm with you. I feel the same way. It's like an endorphin release, right? And
Yeah.
it's a part of your life. It's good to feel good. Well, I love that. I love that so much. So the question is always, what is next?
So I've registered for a few half Ironman next year. And I mean, the process has always been the same. I register for these, but we don't go into half Ironman unprepared, and I like to be very structured. So we're gonna probably go back to what we've been doing, and I've already started, is strength to make sure there's no injury during the year, which I'm doing right now, probably for another month and a half. And then we'll go into a speed. So sprint races, 2 or 3, to retest what is in the tank for the year. Then increase a bit the distance to see if I can keep that speed on Olympic distance, and then put some volume towards the second part of the year to be ready for.
Down. You have my exact recipe by heart now, right? I love it. I love it. I love it. So, and I know the races that you signed up for are more challenging because you just, want to challenge yourself more. So they're super hilly courses. So what are the two?
Yeah.
I remember you told me, but
so it's Nice.
Nice. Oh my God.
The Nice Ironman, and the other one is Alpe d'Huez, which is one of the the bike course is on one of the French Tour. Oh, sorry, one of the Tour de France.
Time trials.
Legs.
Yeah, the time.
Yeah. So usually that'll be good.
That race, yeah. I think our connection is getting bad, but I wanted to speak to the Nice race. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
So Marty and Danny, Coach Danny and Marty Norcini, I definitely want you to conference with them because they both did that race, and your skill on the downhill is going to be, that's where they both suffered. Like the climb, it's like straight up and then straight down on the bike. So that's something, again, I think you're going to still be able to have a great race, but again, we need to focus on that downhill. So I'm super duper excited. Awesome. All right. Well, I think we're done. Do you have anything else to share?
No, again, I can, I think it's that time of the year where I need to wish you all the best for 2023 and do the same for all the athletes, be healthy, be happy, and, thrill and enjoy every single race that we will do. That's the best we can wish for.
Exactly. Wishing you well, Rodrigo. Thanks so much for the journey.
Thank you.
More to come. Bye.
Bye.